Hi, it's Mahayogi again. Thanks for joining me. So, I'm trying to give a brief explanation of the yoga system. Uh, my name is Mahayogi, so I'm trying to explain something so you understand what yoga system really means. We talked about different processes, yama, niyama, which means rules and regulations, and then there's pranayama and pratyahara, which means breathing. Pratyahara is the process of giving up negative practices. All this we discussed. Then we came to dharana. Dharana is related to dharma. It means holding, but the idea is to hold something within the mind, focus. And now we also spoke about asanas, which are important. The idea is to try to calm the mind on a particular level. Being calm is not the only thing that yoga will reveal. So we come to the idea of dhyan. Now, dhyan, normally we think of meditation. This is sort of the popular idea. Meditation on what is the problem? Are we meditating on a candle, a rose, the sky? And then what do we mean by meditation? If we're sitting and looking at a candle, well, you could call that contemplation as well, making the mind still, mindfulness. Uh, so, really, the word meditation is a bit unfortunate. It doesn't really get to the true purpose of dhyan. But the followers of a particular Swami in India in the 1960s tried to sort of patent that term and use it in their marketing of their particular school of yoga. Nowadays, everything is commercialized, so people try to make money off everything. There's an interesting poem by Pablo Neruda called Oda al Aire, where he says, please don't sell the air. But now, even the air is up for sale. And so, thinking and meditation are all part of that process. But I'm not trying to sell you something here, just giving a simple explanation of the basic eightfold yoga path. Part of what I'm doing here is I'm trying to understand how to use Facebook, YouTube, videos. I'm a teacher, and so now everything is remote, everything is online, it's all technology. So I have to know how to use this technology, and I thought I would warm up a little bit by speaking about yoga and taking that as my subject. My point here is that yoga is really a mystic process. Uh, in this sense, we're trying to come in contact with our spiritual self. Now, what exactly does that mean? It's a problem because we get involved in ideology, we get involved in dogma. Everyone has their own religious backstory, their religious baggage that they carry around with them. But religion as such is more of a social problem. It's something that your mommy and daddy teach you when you're 3 or 4 years old that you should worship your God, and your God is Allah, or his name is Jesus, or his name is Shiva. And so the names that we learn and the church that we go to kind of define our social identity, but it has nothing really to do with who we are. Uh, the dangerous thing about yoga is it puts us in touch with who we really are, and that's social identities. So sometimes in different parts of the world, yoga suddenly becomes kind of a controversial thing. People don't want to talk about it. They think somehow you'll be subverted or hypnotized, or this is a pagan practice. So they don't like thinking or dhyan or meditation or contemplation because you're not really supposed to. You're supposed to be a robot and push the button and do what you're told. But let's just talk about the meaning of the word dhyan. Sanskrit's interesting. The words in Sanskrit have deep meanings. These terms have been in use for a long time. And different schools sort of appropriate the meaning of a word. And so over 1,000, 2,000 years, even though there's an assigned meaning, there's only one particular meaning to a Sanskrit root, and it's thousands of years old. How could it have more than one meaning? But because different schools adopt terminology and use that terminology in a special way, so we become accustomed to thinking of certain words having certain meanings. It might surprise you to learn that the word Zen comes from Dhyan, but we normally think of Dhyan as meditation, but there's different kinds of meditation, aren't there? There's the Buddhist meditation, there's the Shankarite meditation, there's what we call mindfulness now. Sometimes we find there's so much stress in modern life that people need to do something to escape the stress for a while so that they can come back again and take up the stress. Uh, so now in factories, we have programs for yoga. In prisons, we have programs for mindfulness. Now, if you're living in a prison, you don't really want to be mindful of what's going on there. Uh, but the idea is to cool people down, have them relax, get their minds off work and problems. And so the idea of dhyan or mindfulness meditation has been used in that sense. But staring at a blank wall and making your mind blank is not really the purpose of the Eightfold Yoga system. Patanjali perfected a system for going deeper into our own selves and trying to understand our personal realities. So, how is dhyan and how does it work? If dharana involves focus and freedom from distraction, dhyan involves a deeper kind of concentration, a deeper kind of meditation. Um, for example, as I'm doing this video, there's a dog barking over outside that window. So, how do you continue your meditation when a dog is barking? And that's very simple. It's a very simple distraction. What about, there you go. I don't know if you can hear that. What about when your parents are telling you that you're doing it wrong? Your teacher tells you you're doing it wrong. The society tells you you're doing it wrong. How do you maintain your balance and your focus? You may have a particular vision. You may think you understand what you're about, and society tells you no, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. How do you maintain your balance? So the idea of dharana and dhyan, or focus and meditation, have to do with keeping in mind the goal of self knowledge, of self realization, of knowing who we are, and coming in contact with the eternal self. Now, that's not so easy. Self realization is a tricky business. As long as we're dominated by a particular ideology, uh, as long as we think, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm Russian, I'm German, I'm Mexican, I'm American, we fool ourselves into thinking that we're self-realized when really we're simply recycling the old formulas. So now I calmed my mind, I'm still, and I'm ready to go back to work and be exactly who I was before. Well, we're missing the point of the yoga system. Uh, the idea is to uncover the inner self. And for those of you who are involved in a particular yoga system, uh, you might think that I'm being vague here, and it's true. I'm being a little indirect because I'm trying to speak very broadly. I'm trying to give a definition of the Eightfold Path as it was first seen by Patanjali. But you'll see that over the millennium that have passed since he first developed his system, it's been seen and adjusted in different light by different teachers. And I'm going to talk about more of that in a later series that I'll be developing here. But as I said before, I'm trying to get used to using this medium, YouTube, doing a video. It's very tricky and very difficult for me. I have to keep in mind everything from the proper codes that I have to enter in order to live stream something to whether my microphone works all right. I have to keep a lot of different things in mind. So you can forgive me, please, if my first few videos are a little bit rustic and the quality is not so good. I'm trying to learn how to do this. So please be patient. And patience is another factor in the yoga system. So there we go. Now, you might think I'm being a little bit vague and indirect here, and I am. But I'm trying to give a very general definition of these different terms: yama, niyama, dharana, dhyan, pranayam, pratyahara, asana. So in our next little video, we'll talk about samadhi, which is also very popular. So different teachers will teach you focusing, mindfulness, focus on a candle, focus on a flower. It's not really dhyan. It may be meditation in the modern sense, but it doesn't really have much to do with yoga as it was conceived. The idea is to come in contact with your eternal self, your eternal nature. So you could say that true yoga involves meditation on the self. So I think this is an important point because people get stopped before they come to meditation because they think, well, what am I meditating on? I need to have an object for my meditation. So they get this advice, well, meditate on a flower, meditate on the wall, meditate on a light. It doesn't matter what you meditate on. The idea is to blank the mind. This is not true. We're not meditating on material things. We're not meditating on the flower or the wall. We're not even meditating on the mind. We're trying to get a sense of soul experience, which means you need to leave cognition and the ego behind. But that's very difficult to do because the mind is always thinking. So if I tell you to still the mind, for example, then what happens is you get trapped in this thinking process where you go, okay, how do I think? Am I not thinking now? I think I'm not thinking. But this is not exactly the goal of meditation. The goal of meditation, again, is to try to separate illusion from reality or consciousness from matter. This is why mantras work. Mantras are very important because divine sound actually has a liberating effect as we involve ourselves more deeply in the sound. We leave behind cognition and metacognition, thinking and rethinking and overthinking things, and discover the eternal self, separate from the physical body, through this sort of process of contemplation or dhyan. So this is really the question that we're trying to take up here in the process of dhyan. So I think I'll stop there for the moment. Thanks a lot. Thanks for tuning in. I'm trying to keep these videos short, about 15 or 16 minutes, and we hope you enjoyed this. I'll put this up on my YouTube channel, and if you like it, let me know. Okay, peace and love. We'll see you next time. This is Mahayogi.